Well, I guess my whole thing about conception and having get your position as being pro-choice or whatever is just that it's a little bit an escape from responsibility and
Accountability.
accountability.
Maybe,
People need to be accountable for their actions
but
because
my,
at,
I don't have a problem with accountability. I only have a problem with that kind of accountability because somebody else is going to live a cruel reality they didn't ask for. If it was just about you robbing a bank and going to jail, then that's fine. If it's about you doing anything and getting to face the consequences, it's okay. But now there's somebody else somewhere who is going to suffer for your mistakes. Why?
yeah, well, the one thing that I've at least even seen from what you have said is that it is somebody else who is going to suffer. So at least you even admit that it is somebody else that you are bringing into the world.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just going to be to admit to my point is that taking away that somebody else
See,
is basically murder, and I'm not going to be advocating for that. But
Nick,
then again,
Nick, I've never failed to admit that even the zygote has the potential of becoming a human, right? What I'm saying is that at what time, at what stage does that, for example, in Atlanta, Georgia, right? The law there states that abortion is legal until the child has its first heartbeat, which is about 7 or 8 weeks, till the child can have an independent heartbeat. Then you cannot. This trending story of just not a few months ago of Lara Smith who died. She was on life support, but because she was pregnant, they couldn't take her out of life support. They left her on life support with that pregnancy for how many months, just so that the baby could grow up to a certain age and they can take it off and put in a neonate before burying her.
yeah,
Which to me sounded so cruel. You cannot force a dead person to carry a child. They had to do it because it was against the law. If they had taken her off life support, it would mean that they have murdered the child
how can you say
in her womb. According to the law,
that is like if you are dead, right? If you are brain dead
yeah, she was brain dead.
and you are with child and the child is surviving in your womb, I think the most humane thing to do is to bring that life to completion.
Bring a life to completion. A child, as the time she died, the pregnancy I think was 9 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. The most humane thing to do at that point would be to bring that life to completion, because there's a life which is gone, right? At Alabas, there are two lives.
Okay.
There's a life which is gone. The most humane thing for a medic or for a doctor or for humanity, basically, is not to snuff out the next one. Is to be able to use. I think it is even a gift.
A gift.
Yes,
That child,
it's a gift.
the child was
No, I
finally
want
born,
to say
but
it is a
but
gift.
it will never be the same. They said it there that the child will never be the same. Even the
course.
chances of the child even surviving was very slim. So why were you torturing the girl's family? Why were you torturing her? She's already dead, and you're still torturing her, forcing her to carry a pregnancy to
But
term.
you know, that is not torturing if you are already dead.
She had another child, and her family members, they will come and see her every day lying there.
But you are not torturing her if she is already dead.
You're torturing her. No, you're torturing her. Forcing a dead person to carry a child to term is torture.
You know, torture has an element of pain. If somebody is dead, they are not going to be feeling any amount of pain. They are not going to be feeling any distress. Why? Because they are dead.
Have you ever heard of the saying "rest in peace"? Why do you tell dead people to rest in peace? They're already dead.
Right. And if that dead person can actually help, if people were dying, right? If there was a way to use people who were dead to bring life, I think that would be like one of the most humane things to do on this planet.
If you were gonna have a child with a condition, congenital malfunction or something, and you had the option to take it off, or what would you do?
Now, I think that's a different question.
No, it's the same thing, because that child that Rusty was
Because
carrying
first of all,
will never
right,
be the same. Even if he manages to survive, it will never be the same.
no, if you are not saying that the child is going to have congenital issues, maybe they are not
Should I
going
show
to,
you
they are
the
not going.
story?
I'm not saying that. Maybe in the story, because first of all, in this story, they have not talked about, oh, the child had congenital
The
issues
child
and they had
had.
to.
The
What
child had
now?
all
That is
kinds of.
now that is an additional element that has been brought into the story,
And
right?
it had, because it was a dead, that a dead person is not supposed to carry a child. The dead person is not physiologically and anatomically structured to carry a child, right? So it did not develop like a child should develop, because when the
Yeah,
mother died, it was just 2 months old in the belly.
yeah. It's not as if, because if I had to guess, right? If I had to guess, even though she was brain dead, her organs were still working.
Machines were forcing them to sustaining
Yeah,
them
machines were sustaining her and she was still getting fed. She
but
was
it's
still getting fed
but it is
nutrients and
still
everything.
not the normal.
Yeah, like it maybe, and I think maybe this we are even going a little bit out of the whole thing, because that is like one of the most extreme cases that you can see.
Yeah.
That is not a case that you are going to see every
Good.
day. And more to that, when we are even talking about this, we are talking on principle. Right? We are talking on principle.
Yeah.
And if you are thinking about in principle, if you had to give birth without any suffering, is that not going to be like the best thing ever?
Yeah.
Women are always the ones who are talking about how we have 9 months of basically suffer in order to bring life to the world. And that is why, and most of the advances which are done in that sector are to reduce the amount of pain that women face while bringing those children into the world. But imagine that they had to remove that pain completely. Having birth is going to be like a breeze for women. It's going to be
you're
like one of the
saying
best
that she was better suited to carry a child to term than a living.
I'm speaking in principle.
Your principle is so flawed.
That's what I'm saying.
Your
in
principle
principle
is flawed, because if in as much as the discomfort that women face during pregnancy is just a response to show that they are doing it right. There's the hormonal distress, the ups and downs. It
but
just
if you had the option as a woman, right, to remove all of that distress,
I will not take it off, because that's what would bring the child. That's what's going to give us this healthy or sane child that we're seeing
what are you talking about? Women are in the hospitals begging for epidural. Begging for epidural, and we are the ones refusing them. That no, mama,
begging
you have
for
to.
epidural during labor. But we're talking about when they are going through the how do you call it, gestation.
Well, if there's any woman in the chat, please tell us if you would want, if all the wahala that comes during pregnancy and delivery, if you had a way to take away that wahala, whether you are not going to be able, whether you will not want to take that away in order to give birth.
Okay, so
without
our
no
government
pain
could pass a
without
law,
any of those.
all the women, so that all the women who die of brain death should be kept there, and then we can now use them as surrogates, since Nick is advocating for a painless
I don't think
gestation
I don't,
period.
well I don't think that is a very feasible thing to do, actually.
Really?
I don't think it's very feasible, because
Anyways.
I'm sure if it was feasible, there's somebody who would have who would have probably proposed it at one time.
First of all, I don't know why people think that pro-choicers are not pro-life. I think we are the ones who are really pro-life, because we are the ones concerned about humans, about this human being we're seeing right here. Most pro-lifers are just mad at the fact that people have autonomy, or people can make certain decisions or take their lives into their own hands. No, they just want to force people to bring kids. They're not really concerned about kids. No.
Nobody is against you having autonomy. And when you're even talking about autonomy, it is not just your life, it is the life of two people. It is
my life and a life of a potential being.
It is not just you, it is you and someone else.
Who?
You cannot be the Lord. You cannot be.
What's his name?
whatever name the person is going to get,
Okay, so it
but
doesn't have an
it is
identity.
still a person.
You're saying it
It
doesn't
has
have an
an identity. It is a distinctive human being. It's a distinctive species of the human species. So there's no, it is autonomy on top of me. It's not just you. It is you and someone else. It is you and it is a combination of you and the other party that decided to give his seed so that you
Nick,
guys